Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And we're doing it's the summer of spoiler talks here and spoiler reviews with my buddy Rod, and we're here to do a spoiler review of yet another Dakota Johnson release. It's Splitsville. Rod, thank you so much for coming on.
Shane, when you thought of this idea, I was like, yes, thank you. Please have me on for the show. I appreciate it. I can't wait.
But this film is starring, co-written, and directed by Michael Angelo Covino, co-written and starring Kyle Marvin, and then the big stars, it's Dakota Johnson and Adria Arjona, who made a big splash in Hitman
Hmm.
recently. And this film is quite the experience. When Ashley asks for a divorce, the good-natured Carrie runs to his friends Julie and Paul for support. Their secret to happiness is an open marriage, that is, until Carrie crosses the line and throws all of their relationships into chaos. Um, I don't know. I feel like that synopsis is putting some blame on Carrie for this whole situation that don't necessarily put that he ruined all of their lives. Um,
There's another character that ruined everybody's lives. So,
uh, but let's just give some general thoughts at the beginning here. But Rob, what were your general thoughts on the film?
so I went into this, Shane, with again, this seems to be a common theme with comedies now, but especially this year, Shane, of like best comedy of the year, funniest film of the year. We just went through that with Naked Gun. I was like, I had a
Mhm.
great time. I don't think it was the funniest movie of the year. But funniest movie of all time. This is great. This transcends the genre, all this stuff. And
Mhm.
so I go in, with all these unreasonably high expectations. And I must say, Shane, while I don't think it's best comedy of the decade or what, I had a really, really good time with this movie. This
Yes.
was a ton of fun. And one of the things, Shane, I said in my Letterboxd review was when I walked out of this, I was thinking, man, if Judd Apatow directed this, because there are moments in here, Shane, like, is this a Judd Apatow film? Because this feels like something Judd Apatow would make, just
Yes.
for myself personally. And
This would have
walking,
been 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I would we probably still be in the theater watching it right now. Yeah.
I this film most of my gripes with it are from I think a thematic and character decision
Yes,
kind and like story structure standpoint because like it's hilarious. It
absolutely.
is a ridiculously funny movie, and this whole cast is so committed to the bit,
Hmm.
and they play each of them play into their strengths so well here. And honestly, this is a really well directed comedy. Like this actually feels like there's some artistic prowess being injected into a genre that a lot of them just feel like sitcom looking, like high gloss, overly lit kinds of genres. There's really interesting camera work here, and I'm sure we'll get into it at some point, but also a wild fight sequence that is absolutely insane. But I really like this a lot. I do have some problems with some of the choices, but I guess we could kind of just like go through the film a bit because the opening of this movie certainly sets the tone.
The opening of this film is wild. Okay,
Wild.
absolutely wild.
So basically, we have Carrie, who I feel is he gave me Jason Segel vibes because of his general
Yes,
body build
yes.
and like also like aloofly like a nice guy, but probably doesn't make all the best decisions throughout. But like he's definitely giving some Jason Segel vibes. And then you have this very sexually driven wife character who's trying to either give him a hand job or a roadhead on the road because she's obviously very desperate for sexual intimacy.
Hmm.
And we're getting a sense here that like Carrie's not really giving it, but also Carrie seems to be kind of like I do actually have this dynamic with my wife, but this is not my choice. I am somebody like is a super planner. I plan everything, and you could probably pick up on that, Rod, from being friends with me for years.
Yes.
But like my wife doesn't like making decisions. And when people reach out to us about making plans, she's like, Shane's the keeper of the schedule. And then she's just like slowly
Hands
backs
off.
away. Ashley, Arjona's character, does not seem like the person who wants to be micromanaged, but from the start, you get a vibe that Carrie does.
Uh-huh.
Because like he made this pottery class decision without even talking to her and stuff like that. And you can see there's a little bit of tension. But then, but then there's a minivan that which one they're driving Carrie's driving erratically because Ash is like trying to jump his bones while he's trying to drive the car.
Yep.
But this van whips around them, loses control, and flips. And this whole sequence like gets real heavy and it has one of the best punchlines, which is just a dick flopping there when that cop says, "Sir, why's your penis out?" And also another reason it reminded me of Jason Segel because forgetting Sarah
Forgetting Sarah
Marshall.
Marshall. Yep.
So like this whole sequence, they do some like it's really well written because it plants the seeds of what's wrong in this relationship while also delivering in a completely wild opening scene that hooks you from the start.
I didn't know how to feel about that scene at first. 'Cause I'm like, something tragic just happened here, and we're playing it off as a joke. So I'm still kind of iffy on that, Shane. Like, uh,
I
someone
think
just died.
Carrie, I think I think Carrie as a person plays things way too cool.
Yeah, he does.
And I think the film's going along with him not processing what just happened like that. But I think Ashley is legitimately shaken to the core by this, which is why, you have that whole interaction right after where she's like, I need to get out of this. And he's like, Oh, I'll pull over. And he's like, No, not the car. And you. And I'm like, and he's like, Okay. And then he
He
tries to get
gets
out of
at
the
the car.
car. And she's like, No, the car out of this marriage. And like, married for what? 14 months or something like that.
Yeah,
And
not long.
this, like, yes, a woman does die. And she's like, Ashley's trying to read this letter. And obviously, Carrie doesn't want to confront what's not going well in his life. And then I couldn't handle it when he just starts running out of the car and keeps running, Forrest Gump level, running
Uh-huh.
through fields, through woods, through this and that. And then he's swimming and he runs and swims all the way to his friend's house. I'm like, what is going on here?
You know, that it did have that level of like, that's that Forrest Gump run that I love so much. But
Mhm.
it's that part to me. That's when I really started getting into the film. Shane, I'm like, okay, now I see where we're going with this type of, because
Yeah.
I tried to, and I've only seen that first trailer. I don't know if there's been other trailers. I've only seen that one trailer they put out, but I could understand now. Okay, Adira Arjona is starting to feel a certain way because even before the crash, she's already starting. You can see it kind of in her face, like she's already starting to think about, do I
She
just go
doesn't
ahead
seem
and tell him
happy.
now? Yeah, she's not happy. You can already tell the unhappiness
Yeah.
that she's feeling, or kind of the, because we learned later on she was going through something, right? She was clearly
Yes.
going through something.
And like, and to draw upon, like, I've been in situations like this. My wife and I were together before, broke up for 3 years and got back together. I have seen firsthand what somebody looks like when they're desperately trying too hard to make a situation work. And
Mm,
that's the same exact vibe that Ashley has when she's trying way too hard
yeah,
to make it feel like she wants to have the sexual intimacy with her husband. And it feels so much more like somebody who is too afraid to confront that they're not happy and it is desperately trying to cling on to this. And that whole scene, like, I appreciate that undercurrent that you can feel in what's going wrong in their relationship at the beginning, for sure.
yep. And then, I mean, do we just go ahead and get to the point where he gets to the house eventually?
Yeah, so he comes in. Ashley had already been there, dropped his stuff off because this literally took him hours.
Hours.
And good for him. Like, does
Gonna work out.
cardio, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he's a gym teacher, as we find out later. So like he he's in condition.
Again, Jason Segel vibes from because he plays he plays a gym teacher in Bad Teacher. So I
Yeah.
mean,
But right off the bat, I will be frank with you, I hated Paul Savino's character from the
Yeah.
start, and I never liked him once in this movie. But like I think Cavino does a good enough job for us to understand that this man has a lot of problems and he's
Mhm.
going through a lot and he needs to grow as a person. But I never liked Paul.
No, there was not a single moment where even for a second was like, yeah, I'm feeling for you here.
Hmm.
I but then I was trying to understand too. That's kind of what leads to my negative, Shane, of like why Dakota Johnson's character is with him in the first place. They never really got into that. At least for me, I didn't really feel that.
So that's the interesting thing because Drew, I don't understand well, I think in hindsight, I think I have a better understanding of how they got in this situation and how they have to grow because we see what Paul is like in the chase
Hmm.
later on in the film. And Julie, Dakota Johnson's character, admits she loves when he chases her. And there's a kink there that she's enjoying, and there's something about Paul that like intense drive, I think she appreciates and is turned on by. But I think what the issue is before she gave in and married him.
Right.
And by the end of the film, where they're like back together, they're not really. She's just playing it casual and she's taking advantage of enjoying the chase, but not anchoring herself down with this man, which when you take a step back and think about it, she's really leading him on, and that's not a good thing. But at that point, I'm like, I didn't care about Paul. So I'm just like, I don't feel that bad. But
No.
like, I think that's probably what happened is that he came on, like, she really liked him coming on strong with this and like that drive. Because I imagine at some point the drive that he put into his work, he put into her.
Yes. Yeah.
But then that drive completely got transfixed on this real estate stuff. And that's where Julie feels hollow and empty because she doesn't feel like she has a husband anymore. And why she, winds up taking a step and having sex with her husband's best friend.
Which was, I mean, I think we all knew it was probably leading to that when you read this analysis of Carrie crossed the line. Okay, that's the line he crossed.
Well, and when, which also I think a few interesting points is one, when Carrie's getting a shower and Paul's like has it in his head, you need to check for ticks, and completely ignores all boundaries and gets in the shower with him and is like looking over his whole entire body. That's the kind of person Paul is.
Yeah.
He's his tunnel vision, he makes a choice and he's going to do it,
Yep.
no matter how anybody around him feels about it. And I think that's really important to understand about his character because it's his character the whole entire film.
And also too, like that scene's happening, Shane, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, but just because Dakota Johnson's character also comes in later, and she's just like enjoying herself, just enjoying this moment. I'm like, what's wrong with these people?
Well, and I think that's because Julie is desperate for
Yes.
any kind, and becomes apparent because she sleeps with Carrie, and obviously we as an audience know what he's packing because we've seen it
We've seen it.
already up
Uh-huh.
to that point.
And she says it
And
too in the movie. She also says
yes,
it. Yeah.
well, and when they're on the couch and they reveal that they have this open marriage, they are joking around about Carrie being somebody that she could sleep with. But when somebody's making a joke and not really joking about it, but trying to write it off as a joke, that's exactly what was going on in that scene. And then we see, to jump a little bit, you see that again when they're at the carnival and OT Fagbenny's character, who's like this really suave British dude, and she's all about him. There's something desperate that Julie needs in her life, and it's attention and it's connection, and she doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And Harry's kind and sweet and loyal,
Yes.
and it's everything that Paul's not, and that's why Julie's drawn to him in that way. And I see where all these pieces are coming together, and I think Covina does a really good job of keeping these motivations together here. I start having problems with it once we hit the third act of the movie, but obviously we'll get there. But, but the moment that Carrie tells Paul that he slept with his wife
Oh,
begins a
chaos
wild,
ensues.
wild fight, whipping out Taekwondo and MMA moves and pro wrestling moves. And this is why like this is a really well shot movie because that camera barely cuts. It's taking in all of this. They're smashing coffee tables, they're
Hmm.
smashing tables. Paul picks up a knife, Carrie picks up a knife. They make eye contact. Oh, no knives. And this escalates to Harry gets his eyebrows burnt off, which was wild.
Yes.
And like I thought Paul was gonna like break his neck or something when he went down those stairs. And
Hmm.
then the whole crashing the aquarium and all the fish flopping around, and then they all get the fish into the tub, and then Paul tries to drown Carrie in the tub. And then they yeet themselves out the second story window into the pool. And then, Julie finally comes back to them still man fighting on the back back lawn.
What are you guys doing? Just they're fighting on the back lawn.
And the groundskeeper guy is just watching the whole entire thing play out. That was wild. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie because this was actually a really good action sequence. And I'm just like, I cannot believe that this is in this movie.
That's what I'm saying. When you think about the best action scenes of 2025, you're gonna have to be for the people who saw Splitsville, they're gonna be that's gonna be on most of their lists
That's gonna
because
be on their lists. Like this and Nobody 2, like
all right, so I haven't seen Nobody 2 yet. So
came out the same month in the summer. Because
yeah,
technically this came out in August, but like it didn't open wide anywhere until the
September.
first weekend of September. But this was all the way up to this point is all this setup of just like, holy crap, what's going on here? And then we get into the second act, really, because this whole movie's also set up into parts
Hmm.
that have specific labels. But then, like, we see Ashley has moved on. We know that she slept with, now I'm trying to remember what the math was because she said she slept with seven people in the letter. He was the fourth. So she slept with three guys or three people
Right.
specifically since they were married. And now she's with this guy, mustache guy, who's very hunky and fit and wants to play music. And then she comes upstairs and Carrie's sitting there eating a
Eating a
sandwich.
sandwich.
Which and that whole entire sequence where they agreed to do this open marriage, and I'm like, oh no, this
Terrible
is
idea.
not how you deal with your problems.
Well, because it just gets worse and worse because it really becomes I don't want to say like a brothel, but it's just like this a house for all the our ex-lovers, and it's just weird, Shane. It's so
Oh,
weird.
and from a comedic standpoint, I think this is hilarious. From a narrative standpoint, I feel like where this is the movie gets a little unfocused because
Hmm.
they just introduce so many characters at this point. But I do think it's hilarious that Carrie is collecting this wayward home for ex-lovers of Ashley,
Hmm.
and they have movie nights. He's
Yep.
helping them with their resume. They're doing all of these things,
They eat
and
dinner together. It's like a family style dinner.
yeah, and they're all super insecure or
Hmm.
aloof to losing Ashley, and Ashley just keeps trying to sleep around. And you start to realize like Ashley's not happy. She's
Yes.
just doing all of this stuff. And this is one of my biggest problems with a character choice in this. I was perfectly happy with this. Like it worked for me that Carrie was doing this because he's Carrie. Like he's just too nice of a guy, and this is why Carrie can't sleep around because he catches feelings. He's now caught feelings on all of these exes and want them to be part of his life now.
Yep.
And it makes it really weird for Ashley. When they reveal in the third act of this movie that he was doing it purposefully to make her jealous, that didn't work so well for me.
It didn't. No.
And I feel like that kind of betrayed who Carrie is as a character. And that was probably one of my biggest issues from like a thematic character piece of just like the whole entire point is he is a loyal like puppy dog of a person, and him specifically doing vindictive things to make her jealous just didn't make sense to me based off of what we've learned about this character this whole time.
So I think you said it kind of perfectly, Shane. As a set piece, yeah, it's funny, right? It's really funny
Yeah.
just seeing all these ex-lovers just going in, living here in their house. But narratively, for me, it worked to a point where I was like, okay, Carrie's making friends and all this stuff. But then, like you said, that third act when everything gets revealed about who really has been sleeping with the most people, and oh, that's right, no one's slept with each other. Also when all this stuff starts starting to come out, um, that was one of the things, I was like, did we have to do that? Because I felt like there was something nice about him finding, I don't want to say solace, but just finding a comfort with these people. Where like now
Yeah.
he's, they're coming over to, uh, what's their
They're all
son's
there.
name? Yeah, they're all at this birthday party. I'm
They're
like,
all at the kid's birthday party, and
yeah.
came really in handy because Paul would probably be dead if
Oh
it
yes.
weren't for was Jackson the one who brought the fire extinguisher,
Yep.
and like also the fact that Nicholas Braun, the mentalist, winds up being once.
He is in
That
one
was
scene and he cracked me up. Oh my goodness.
and that's the thing. They could have just skipped to that on
Yes.
some level and had him be like who Ashley's been like you could have acknowledged that Ashley's been sleeping around and stuff like that. It
Uh-huh.
just got a little too muddled. I like how where Carrie and Julie start developing this connection. I like that because I feel like Carrie is the kind of guy that Julie does want in her life.
Mm.
And I think that's working. The fact that Paul, like find out that Paul's a scumbag, he's been doing all these horrible things, taking loans out in his son's name, going to prison, all that stuff made sense to me. And I thought that was like hilarious. And Paul's a scumbag.
My favorite scene too is
Mhm.
that before that was the parent teacher kind of
Yes.
meeting.
Which Harry shows what kind of guy he is. He gets fired to protect their son,
Yes.
who's
Well,
not
first,
his
even
son.
before that too, it's like
Yeah.
his parents are saying, "Don't say anything, don't say anything." And he's just like, "Tell the truth. It's gonna come out eventually. Just tell the truth." Uh, it just shows that of the four of these four friends, he's probably the most noble of the four. He's
Mhm.
the better of the four. I think each of them in their own right is kind of, I wouldn't say despicable, but they all have their issues, right? They all
Yeah.
have their,
Well, and Harry needs to learn to be like obviously I didn't love the fact that he turns out to be a pretty vindictive and jealous person
yeah,
in the way that they portrayed him, but like he is too controlling. He
yes.
probably is somebody that it's a little too structured in his life and needs to like take a step back and think about how some of these things are affecting other people. I do we kind of skipped over the part, but one gag that I thought was amazing was the roller coaster and the goldfish.
Okay, so I was wondering where we were going with that because I remember seeing a commercial where he's like having the goldfish on the roller coaster, and so I'm like, oh, maybe that was just for the promos. Oh no, that second time on the roller coaster was so funny.
It was so funny, and they're all like flying through the air. I'm like, poor goldfish. I feel like the big piece of this is going into the third act. This whole entire movie culminates in this birthday party,
Hmm.
and Carrie and Julie are together. It's become obvious that Ashley never really wanted to leave Carrie.
No,
She just needed to process a lot of things.
correct.
And to be frank, I'm not surprised that she would want to be back with Carrie because, for what we know, he's a really nice guy and he's loyal and stuff like that. Go
I
ahead,
just
Rob.
wanted to say real quick. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. Like I knew that Carrie Julie relationship wasn't going to last for one reason, and it's in one scene. Right, for me at least. I don't know. Maybe we might be thinking of different scenes, but him wanting children.
Yep, I think that was extremely important. And that was an important scene where she's like, I'm not having any more kids.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out in the end.
No.
It makes me sad how it came to an end,
Because they work
but
well together. I like them together. I do.
I think they made a really good couple. But I think this film, I think Cavino made a film that's mature enough to acknowledge that you can be a really good partner to somebody, but if you don't have the same hopes and needs out of life, it's okay that it doesn't work out. But there's more mature ways to break it up than, Julie giving in to her Paul and having sex with him in the Harry corner.
That scene, Shane, for me, I had a feeling we were gonna get to that, and I was hoping. I literally was sitting in my seat, Shane, just going, "Please don't do the thing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it." And they did anyway. Um, because that made me like Julie a little less as a person.
Yes, I do think that it helps us understand better their Paul and Julie as a whole,
Yeah.
because this is exactly what happened probably the first time they got together. What
Hmm.
makes me happy, at least, is that she doesn't just jump right back into a relationship with him. Now, I
Yes.
do think that it's a little like, I think it's a little shitty that she's dragging him along for her own pleasure. And that does also make me like Julie less in the end. And I think Dakota Johnson plays this character so cool, though.
Yes, he does.
And like you see the vulnerability and the moments where she breaks down, but there's this sense of cool about her, that she is that like seductive kind of woman that um is just that kind of feeling where she kind of likes a little bit of like, this isn't great for me, but I could appreciate this. And I feel like that's where the film leaves us with like, this is who Julie is. And
Hmm.
like, no, I didn't want her and Paul to sleep together. And especially, but I think what really didn't work for me is when, so Ashley comes on to Carrie hard, singing that.
Hmm.
Also, the fact that they chose the fray is absolutely hilarious.
Love that, Shane. That was so funny.
My mom loves the fray and had seen and I'm just like, that was such a specific time period
Hmm.
to lean into. But like, I get it. I 100% get the motivation of Ashley desperately trying to get back with Carrie in that moment.
Yep.
I can acknowledge them having that quick kiss. It didn't work for me that it went past that point. They didn't show it, but the mentalist is like, because for some reason Nicholas Braun really could actually read everybody's minds.
Hmm.
And the fact that they did a little bit more than that initial kiss from Ashley and Carrie, that bothered me. Because
Yeah.
yet again, would Carrie have let that happen? I think
No.
he I think the kiss makes sense and he stopped it.
Yes.
And I just feel like the character of Carrie was probably the one that I had the most problems with, how like some of his character decisions, because they didn't make sense to me based off of who this character was set up. Everybody else makes sense to me by the end.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I don't like that Harry and Ashley got back together.
I was okay with it for reasons you just were pointing out. I think the film, for me, did a good enough job of showing that this isn't the life she wanted. Uh,
Mhm.
she just needed time to process. But I think it's funny because I mentioned Judd Apatow earlier, but I would have liked to have maybe like a couple more scenes of just characters just not doing these dumb decisions, just taking time just to process what they're really going through.
Well, I think I think the film could have benefited from a bit more of a bridge from this birthday party to
Yeah,
when
that
they
time,
jump to
yeah, that didn't work for me, Shane.
like, I liked the little bit of mystery that it adds until we figure out what's actually going on. But for me, honestly, it felt like Carrie just went back with Ashley just to have a kid.
That
Like how
that
the I felt like how the film structured it and rushed it at the end, that felt like why he stuck around with her. And I think I think Ashley grew as a person.
She has
And
the most growth of any of the four characters in this movie.
I would have been perfectly happy if she wound up with somebody else like Carrie, and that she this time around appreciated and acknowledged like this is what she really wants out of her relationship and wants out of life. And Carrie found somebody else who appreciated him from the start and that wants to have a family with him. I feel like from a narrative standpoint and to tie this all together for the four of them, they put Ashley and Carrie back together. But that didn't 100% work for me. But I could also acknowledge that at that moment, they both fit what they both needed. And maybe
It-
that is the point, to be honest. I just felt like it felt a little bit too clean to wrap up that all four of them are best friends and in this like dynamic
yeah,
together.
that didn't work for me. I do like that final shot though of the kid stealing the boat again. No, I did love that part.
That and also that they get in a fight again.
Yes,
Which
but
that was also really funny earlier that when Carrie gets manhandled and then Julie just smacks right
yep,
in the head.
yeah,
But overall, this is a hilarious movie from start to finish.
it is. Yep.
I think it has a lot of great pieces here in terms of its themes and its characters. There's a lot that works. It's just that there's, and like I still gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. That fifth star dropped for me because I just had issues with honestly really centered around some of the stuff that they revealed about Carrie
Hmm.
and what some of the stuff there. But honestly, I think Kavina did a great job with the character Paul. I think Dakota Johnson did great job with Julia, and I think this film, honestly, Ashley, who has the least amount of screen time, made the most growth that felt the most organic and natural through the whole
Agreed.
entire film.
No, I'm right there with you, Shane. To me, I would have loved to have spent more time with her, just because like I think you and I both agree, she has the most growth. She's the character that
Mhm.
really progressed well throughout this hour and 40-minute journey, whatever it is. I would have liked it to have not. I didn't need it to be like a tragic, sad ending where none of them speak to each other again, but something like Carrie and Julie maybe work things out, and you know
They can
Paul
still
is
be friends, and
yeah.
I think I think for Paul's sake, which going back to what I said earlier, I don't care about Paul, and maybe this is why it didn't not work for me. Is I think for Paul's sake, he needs to take himself out of this whole entire situation.
Hmm.
Because also, I want to know why Carrie and Paul are friends.
You know, that's
I didn't
something
really
I
think about it, but like they never feel like friends. And it's an interesting choice that we're kind of like dropped at the end of their friendship.
yeah. I mean, well. I
What probably should have been the end of their
what
friendship.
should have, yes, what that there you go. That's the better what should have been the end of their friendship. Shame. However,
Not what the
I
film does.
the film to me, I think in the beginning does a good enough job. I don't think it's well done, but I think it does a good enough job of why Carrie and Paul are friends, just from the fact that Carrie's not overly uncomfortable with him, just like being in the
Mhm.
bathroom while they're talking, stuff like that. It's just stuff like that where it's like, okay, clearly these guys have been friends for a while. But I don't know. I felt more of a dynamic between Carrie and Julie and how I
Yeah.
can see them as friends than Carrie and Paul. So I won't disagree with you on that front. Because
That was actually the first time I really thought about it. Like that just came to my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, why are they friends in the first place?
I don't think it's really explained either how they all met, unless I missed a line or something. But I don't think it's really explained, how this group of friends like kind of met and stuff. Because what I maybe thought too, Shane, was like maybe Carrie and Julie met, and then that's
I
how Carrie
feel
met
like
Paul.
I feel like Carrie and Paul had to have met. Like they seem like
College friends or something like that. Yeah.
college or high school friends that grow out of each other
Hmm.
and were friends because of convenience.
Yeah.
And I think this is like we have reached the point where they just need to stop being friends because they're not good with each other.
Well, end of the movie, Shane, they're still buddies. They're still buddies. So, it
Fighting
is.
people together.
Yeah.
It Either way, their friendship is very toxic.
Is
Obviously, seeing as
the
they
four of
try to
them
like
together, it just should not happen. No.
mhm. This certainly should have actually been Splitsville. And everybody the hell out of each
Honestly,
other's
that's
lives.
kind of where I was wondering, like hoping this film would go. Like everyone just takes their own, goes their separate ways and starts a new life with somebody else. I would have liked that.
But I'll give Cavino credit that this is so uncomfortably realistic in terms of how toxic people can be. And it's
Hmm.
just like, oh, they're probably going to be continue to be friends in this super weird dynamic. And like, you could probably make other movies with all the uncomfortable tension that's going to happen with them all being friends. I do want to acknowledge too, because I was thinking in my head if I had seen any of their work, Cavino and Marvin did The Climb together that came
Yeah.
out towards the beginning of COVID. And now I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense.
Yep.
And because it was the two of them are the one, like, that makes so much more sense. Because that film is another one that I had such a great time with, but it challenged me because I had to really think about, like, does this work for me? Does this work for me? These choices and stuff like that. So honestly, I will give Cavino a lot of credit for making stories that challenge you to really reckon with, do you stick with how these characters made their decisions and what makes sense for them?
I'm gonna go
And
back and watch The Climb. I'm gonna go back and watch that sometime this week because I really want
yep,
to like do a comparison, Shane, on
I
those two movies.
remember I waited so long for that to finally come out on VOD during COVID because I remember seeing the trailer and just being sold on the concept. Where it's like they're on bike going up like a hill and like
Hmm.
one of them admits something really bad and it's just like and this is that energy. So I
Yes.
think Cavino has a consistency of like this is that kind of energy that he brings to his movies. And you
Yeah.
know what? I'm down for whatever he comes out with next because the two of them are definitely going to be in it. Now they're branching out. They get somebody like a Dakota Johnson and Adria Arjona and you know they obviously Covino and Marvin have a lot of chemistry together
Yes.
and have been doing stuff for a long time together. So I'm
I
down.
think too, Adira Arjona, who let's not forget also, Shane, she is so good in
She's so
season two of Ant.
charismatic in this.
I love
Oh my
her,
God.
and I just love how she's the choices she's making for her career. I loved what she did in Andor, both seasons one and two.
Hmm.
She is remarkable. She's in season two, I
Yeah.
think, of True Detective also, which was really great. No, that's the bad season. But I liked her in True Detective. She's in Blink twice, if I'm not mistaken, that
I
Channing
see.
Tatum movie.
I see she's in Morbius.
Yeah, she was in Morbius. That happened. But I think her breakout was honestly Hitman. Like she is so good in
Yes.
Hitman.
Oh, I'm looking through her IMDb, see that she was in Irma Vep,
Hmm.
the HBO
I
miniseries.
haven't watched that yet with Alicia Vikander. I heard great things though.
I really liked it. And it's from Olivier Assayas, who made the film Irma Vep in the 90s and then
Okay.
just expanded upon his own story. I see she was also in that Father of the Bride film too. She was in Monsterland. I remember when that came out during COVID. I completely forgot that she was in Good Omens season 1. Here's the thing, I don't think I really clicked who she was until Hitman. And now I'm
Hmm.
like, she was in a bunch of stuff that I saw. And now I'm trying to remember how I felt about her in those things. But I am looking forward to seeing. I know she's on like the internet's two-person short list with like Melissa Barrera for Wonder Woman.
So I last time I checked, it was between her and Ana de Armas.
Oh, that her too. You know the internet's just gonna be super mad that neither of them are big, muscular, and have huge boobs. So there you go.
There you go, Shannon. Yeah, whatever. I didn't know she was in a relationship with Jason Momoa as well. Yeah, she's
Oh,
dating Aquaman. Hmm. Or sorry, Lobo. Excuse me, he's Lobo now. My bad.
He's Lobo now.
He's Lobo.
Which that
So
comes out next year, right? The
Supergirl, yeah.
Supergirl. I'm so used to having to wait now for Marvel things to actually like come about that like DC's just like, oh, you want this movie? There you go,
Hmm.
take it.
Still
Uh
want to know my Shang-Chi too, Shane. All I'm saying. But we got a Man of Steel too, so whatever.
um was it Man of Tomorrow
Man,
is
tomorrow.
gonna be the news. Yeah, somehow we got a new Superman movie, but we can't get Shang-Chi too. Shimu Lu's just sitting here like, dude, like, I'm ready.
Yeah, I know.
I'm I'm not getting any younger. It's like he's already close to 40, right?
I think he is 35, 36, something around that. So
Well, by the time like Secret War comes out, he is gonna be pushing 40 already.
he's
Mm.
36.
Yeah, so by the time that Secret War comes out, he is gonna be pushing 40.
I'm just
Oh
glad
my
he's going to be
God.
in Doomsday, just so I can see my man again. So at least we have that. And he's
Yeah,
voicing him in Zombies, so
yep.
we be good.
I I'm at the point now, I'm a convert. Rod's gonna love this. Anything Dakota Johnson does, I'm down for at this point. So there you go. I'm
Welcome to the
converted.
welcome to the fan club, Shane. Welcome
Yep.
to the fan club.
So the four leads in this, I'm at the point that anything that they do, like anything that Covino and Marvin wind up doing next together, I'm going to be super excited about. And whatever Dakota Johnson and what Johnson and Arjona choose to do next, I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. So I th- between Splitsville, the Baltimoreans, the threesome, and Twinless. This is like end of August, early September is a special moment for indie
Okay,
films
please tell
of
me.
like this.
Because okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that because I mean it has to do with this. So a couple of the trailers they played before Splitsville started. One of
Mhm.
them, first of all, was Eleanor the Great. Oh my God, that looks fantastic.
Yes, coming out end of September. Very looking forward to that.
I did not know even know Scarlett Johansson was directing that. I can't wait to tell Ben
Yeah,
that when I see him tomorrow. Um, the Baltimoreans. I need that movie yesterday, Shane. Oh my God.
I loved it.
Oh, you've seen it.
I got a screening link and I watched it last weekend, and it's a vibe for sure. And I feel like anybody who like from where I'm from, like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, is really gonna appreciate the vibe of it.
Well, so because
There's
I
a
was
lot.
born in Annapolis, so I wasn't
Oh,
too far off from Baltimore. So
there you
I
go.
spent my fair share of time in Baltimore.
There's some Raven fans that make a big part in the film.
Okay, so
Um,
I'm excited. I'm
I'm
excited.
not gonna I'm not gonna say it while we're recording. I might tell you if you want to hear this joke after, or if you
Okay.
want to save it for later. But there's one that killed me. That's Ravens related.
Hmm.
But Baltimoreans highly recommend. I think the best one out of all of these, like four indie films coming out, Twinless. I loved that. I thought that was fantastic, and I really liked the threesome too, which is a lot deeper and more emotional than you might expect based off of a movie called The Threesome.
I'm a Zoe Deutsch stan here, so I'll
She's
watch
great. She's the
anything.
best part of the movie.
Okay,
So
that's great. Because I feel like if you don't know how great Zoe Deutsch is, watch something like Not Okay, or yeah, I'm Not Okay, which is on Hulu. Which to me, that's the best thing she's ever done, still, Shane. But
mhm.
she's an actress who has chosen, I think, the right projects for herself.
I loved. I think she was great in Buffaloed. That was
Love
one
that
that,
movie.
yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Best part of
but
Zombieland 2, by the way. She's the best thing about Zombieland 2.
it's fantastic. Rod, thank you as always for coming on here and talking some movies with me.
Hey, always a pleasure, Shane. Had a great time.
And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland review.